All right, welcome into Flock Nation Speaks. Flock Nation Speaks. Flock Nation Speaks, your Baltimore Ravens podcast, where we talk about the best team in NFL history. If you're a Ravens fan, I am a huge Joe Flacco fan. Wise Usher once said, "Situations will arise in our lives." I'm talking about shut down. Like you not throwing on Jimmy Smith. Joe is criminally underrated. Lock him up in cuffs. Criminally underrated. Lamar's put this team as a top 5 offense for the first time in 20 years. Got the arm talent. Jay Cutler had it too. I don't care about this argument against total TDs and all this. Oh, you want to talk about defense? Oh, until next time. What is going on, good people? Welcome back into Flock Nation Speaks, your Baltimore Ravens podcast, where we talk about the best team in NFL history. If you're a Ravens fan, of course. And man, it just feels so much better after the way Christmas night went and how it felt and the win afterwards and the celebration. Like, it feels good after getting a big win against a fellow number 1 seed in the other conference. It just feels good to be able to say those words. But what's going on, everybody? I'm your host, DJ Beal, and I'm back once again to talk about these Baltimore Ravens. And what a big win. What a big win it was to see the Ravens beat the Niners in the way that they did. And it's funny. I missed y'all last week. I hope y'all had a blessed, safe, happy holiday season, and Merry Christmas to y'all and all of that too, and Happy New Year, because I might not see y'all before that. I don't know. Anyway, I hope y'all had a very blessed holiday season so far, and it helped that on Christmas night to get the big win against the 49ers, 33-19, and in a game that really felt like it was 33 to probably still 12, right? Like, that's kind of how it felt. But interestingly enough, right, I predicted this, and I hate that I missed y'all last week. I hate I didn't get to say this on record for you all last week as well, and I'll have to find the clip and I have to post it. But I hate that I missed you guys last week, because I kind of predicted that the Ravens would win big. And the way that I said it, I didn't say they were going to get the stuff kicked out of them or nothing like that. I didn't say anything that I didn't say was going to be a track meet. I just said that this is the type of team that the Ravens will play their best football against. For all the moments not only this season, but the last couple of seasons where the Ravens have played down to the Indianapolis Colts, the Ravens have played down to the New York Giants, the Ravens have played down to the Jacksonville Jaguars last year, the Ravens have played down to all these other teams, the Pittsburgh Steelers, time and time again. When it comes down to playing up to competition, the Ravens are right there with every top team there is, whether it's the Kansas City Chiefs, whether it's the Miami Dolphins, right? Whether it's the San Francisco 49ers here. We talk about the Seattle Seahawks when it comes down to 2019, right? Like, the Ravens play well against good teams. They just do. The Ravens rarely ever get blown out, and they play well against good teams. That's why I was wondering, was Mike Florio doing his research, or he was just trying to get some clickbait? Because, the Ravens, they kind of clickbaity nowadays. The Ravens kind of clickbaity. I ain't going to lie to y'all. The Ravens are kind of like the talk of the town. And don't nobody really want to have that discussion. Don't nobody really want to say that. But the Ravens are kind of the talk of the town, right? The Ravens are the team that everybody is like, well, but their quarterback's a running back. And the receivers, they really ain't that good, and the running game ain't that good. But that offensive line is pretty good, though. I say that they got all pro left side. Like the Ravens, there's always a story with the Ravens. But that defense, though, right, you see what I'm saying? Like, everybody wants to say something about the Ravens this season, I feel like, right? The Ravens, and I said it before the season started, the Ravens are almost like the forgotten team this year, right? The Ravens are almost like the forgotten team this year. Right. I said, I've said this for a long time, and I went on record saying it. I said it time and time again. My true feelings about the Ravens is, as long as they stay healthy, the sky's the limit. Right. As long as they stay healthy, the rest comes to execution on the field, because The Ravens, when healthy, we know what they can be. We know they're number one seed. It don't matter who's on the team, right? As long as Lamar Jackson's under center, we know that the Ravens are in a good position to contend as long as Lamar Jackson is under center. It don't matter about anything else. And that's not to say that you wish any sort of injury on anybody by any means, because that's the tough part about this game is the fact of the injuries, right? But we know that Lamar Jackson is the Ravens MVP, and that's all I'm saying, right? But to beat the 49ers in this way is huge, right? This is a huge win for the Baltimore Ravens. 33-19 against a team who a lot of people felt like was the top team. Like, this was going to be the test for the Ravens, right? You talking about the Ravens trying to prove that they're a top team, and then you got the Niners who have said, hey, we are the top team. We got MVP candidate Brock Purdy, MVP candidate Christian McCaffrey. We got really talented receiver Deebo Samuel, really talented top 5 tight end George Kittle. You know, like we have we like that, right? We got a good, smart, young offensive mind, Kyle Shanahan. We good. We like that. Don't even mention the defense. We got top linebackers over there, top corners over there, top secondary players. It don't matter. Top defensive linemen, don't matter. We got it all, right? This was the Ravens' time to prove that they are indeed the number one seed, that they are indeed the top team in the NFL. And if the Ravens, and we said this all, and I hate saying it because we said it all year long, but we said this thing all year long. If the Ravens can figure it out, unstoppable ain't even the word for it, right? Because even in this game and throughout the season, even in games where the Ravens have beaten teams over 500 by more than 14 points or 14 points or more, we felt in this way like there's another gear here. That's not even the top Ravens team right there. There's another gear. And I think we all believe that. I think as Ravens flock, I think as Flock Nation, I think as Ravens fans, we all believe that. And we know the players believe it, right? But we see it. And even in this game, it wasn't even, I'm not saying it's got to be perfect because it doesn't. But there was points left off the board in this game, considering, right, the defense, shout out to them, turned the opposing offense over 5 times. 5 interceptions in one game. Like, this could have been a 70-point outing for the Ravens if that's the thing. If the Ravens offense is where they should be, and I don't even think they are yet. They look good and they're not even there yet. They look good and they're not even at the peak yet. That's the crazy part about it. And that's why, like, for me, I'm going to be honest, I always want the Ravens to win the Super Bowl. But I think if they start with a Super Bowl win this season, it could propel them to a dynasty because, and I don't want y'all to think this is hyperbole, because sometimes I think a lot of people think that people are exaggerating when they talk about the word dynasty, right? When they talk about the word, or they talk about the phrase like this could be a dynasty. This is a dynasty making decision. I've said that time and time again on this show. But for me, when I think about the potential of the Ravens being a dynasty, it starts this year, right? Because the AFC is weakened this year. Let's just be honest. And that's not discrediting what the Ravens are doing either, because they've had to play, number one, who's on their schedule, but they had to play tough teams too. And they play in the best division of football. So this is the perfect time for the Ravens to win the Super Bowl because the AFC is a little bit hobbled, right? And I mean, the Ravens have been a little bit hobbled over the past couple of seasons. So this is the perfect time for the Ravens to cash in on that like everybody else has been able to. And then on top of that, next year when you come back, the offense should be even better. The defense should be even better, right? And this team should just continue to grow as the years go on, right? Because this offense is not there yet. That's the crazy part about it. That's the wild part about it. This offense is simply not there yet. Simply not there, right? It's inconsistent. Let's be honest. Like, let's just be honest about things. This offense is inconsistent. But when they're on, they're on. And they ain't even flipped the switch yet of being on. They're like halfway on, right? If they can figure out what, it's funny because shout out to Sip to Tally, Coach Evans. So Sip to Tally Films on YouTube. Shout out to him because I thought about this and I remember him saying it, and then it came back up in my shorts. and it was talking about it was a YouTube short he recorded, and it was talking about this. The Ravens don't really have an offensive identity, but that's the most dangerous thing about the Ravens, right? Is that they don't have an offensive identity. They can beat you running the ball 30 times a game, or they can beat you passing the ball 35 times a game. That's just how the Ravens are. That's what the Ravens are right now, right? There's no receiver that's gonna blow you away by any means, but the receivers will have some big plays. It just might not always be Odell. It just might not always be Bateman. It just might not always be Mark Andrews. It just might not always be Isaiah Likely. It just might not always be, Keaton Mitchell at the time, right? Like, that's the thing, like, that's the thing. Zay Flowers, of course, like, we know what he can do. And I think they showed it in this game. Because I think when you look at the numbers, of the with the Ravens in this game, right? Of course, you got the fact that it was 33-19. That was the victory scene right there, right? Like, that was the victory scene. But I will say, just looking at the numbers, and I'm gonna pull them up for you guys too as well, so you guys can follow along with me. When you look at the numbers, let's pull it up. There we go. All right, we in it now. So when you look at the numbers, right? Lamar Jackson, 23 of 35, 252, 2 TDs, no INTs this week. So that was nice. It was nice to see no turnovers. And that's another thing too. The Ravens have a turnover problem at times on offense. And if they could fix that, that'd be a whole nother. I mean, that'll take this team to a whole nother level too. But still a good game. Lamar Jackson leads the team in rushing as well, 7 carries, 45 yards, and Zay Flowers leads the receivers, 9 receptions. That's crazy. 9 receptions, 72 yards, and a TD. On the Niners side of things, Brock Purdy, 18 of 32 for 255 with 4 picks, no touchdowns for Brock tonight, or at least on Christmas night. Christian McCaffrey, 14 carries, 103. That's sick right there. A touchdown. I feel like he was doing his thing. I feel like George Kittle was too. 7 receptions, 126. I felt it really did feel like they were doing a good job. Like, if you can't say nothing else about the Niners, they definitely did a good job there. When it came to when it came to moving the ball downfield, it just felt like the Ravens would stop them with an interception or something, or stop them with a turnover, or they would make the play. Like, especially like the first, I want to think it was the first possession. The first possession felt like a little bit like, it was like, and sometimes I have to watch the Ravens and remember that it's going to take that first possession to kind of figure out exactly what the Niners look like in real time. And, you haven't seen them in a couple years and everything too. So, and the Niners were one of those teams in 2019 that the Ravens played. That was a tough team coming off a Super Bowl appearance, if I'm not mistaken, or close to it, or they were about to, one of the two. And the Ravens beat them, and they, on another primetime game, and showed why they were a top team in the league that year too. So, that's one of those things where it's like the Ravens really do a pretty crazy job of playing up to competition. But Marcus Williams with a pick, Kyle Hamilton with a pick, with 2 picks actually, the one where he got knocked down and somehow still ended up with a pick, but okay. Patrick Queen had a pick, and then Marlowe had a pick. So, I mean, heck of a game by those guys, man. Like, just to see how well they ended up playing is, this was one of those games where it was just a complete game, right? It felt like the Detroit game almost. Like, it was just a really complete game. The defense played lights out, and the offense capitalized on it at least as much as they could, or at least, even if they didn't capitalize on it early on, they capitalized on it eventually, which is something you don't really see as well. And of course, the Ravens got another tough matchup, battle for the number 1 seed. This is to get the number 1 seed against a familiar foe, coming up next week. And I'll definitely have that preview out for you guys later on in the week. But they're playing the Dolphins, right? A team that's felt like they've had the Ravens number. We talked about Thursday Night Football a couple of years ago, where they just felt like that Blitz 6-0 just had the Ravens number. And then last year, we all know how week 2 went, where the Ravens were, they were taking care of business, right? At home, offensively, they had done everything they needed to do. And then the fourth quarter was just craziness. The fourth quarter was craziness, man. Like, I can't remember. It was like 28-7, I think, going to the fourth quarter, and it just blew open. And the Dolphins ended up coming back. So, I mean, that's a whole nother story for a whole nother video. But it's just crazy, man. Like, it's crazy to see. It's crazy to see, like, what the Ravens could be. And that's the thing about it. Like, I think as crazy as it is to see what the Ravens could be, they're just not quite. They're not quite there yet. They probably will be, but they're not quite there yet. But real quick, as always, Fly Nation Speaks is on all major podcasting platforms. So